Hi guys, this is Tina. Welcome back to my channel. So we're just here to do some more pieces using our 12 by 12 sheet to make our kind of junk journal kit here. So far we've made these couple of pieces here. So that's those kind of done. So I've laid out some other pieces. I'll just put those kind of to the side. I've laid out a couple of other pieces that potentially we might use, just so that I'm not kind of zapping up people's time, you know, trying to kind of choose bits and bobs. So if we kind of work, we'll do the straight one first, and then we'll come to those corner ones in a moment. So we'll do the straight one because obviously we've been working with the kind of straight ones already. So I've got some other stamps here to kind of fill in some of the background. I've got my crafty individuals, some of my crafty individual stamps. So these ones here are kind of postmarks and postcard kind of emblems and things like that. I do love those crafty individual stamps. You know, I'm not kind of sponsored by them or anything like that, but I do really love their stamps. But just to kind of, you know, warn you, they do come what they call unmounted. So they're like that, and they're on a full sheet. So what you get is this, basically, on a full sheet of this rubber, and then you have to cut them all out and then ideally kind of mount them on the foam. I haven't mounted most of them, you know, to my detriment really, because actually the foam does make a massive difference when stamping. So I just need to kind of buy some more foam really and kind of mount some more, but I just thought I would kind of just highlight that because you know, kind of if you bought some for the first time, that would be a bit of a shocker, and you know, you'd feel a bit disappointed with your purchase. So just to kind of be aware, they are unmounted, but they are really nice stamps. So I've got that one that's a postcard one. I've got this one that's a postmark one. I'm really into those postmarks ever since the faux stamps that Annalise kind of you know, inspired. So hopefully I'm in frame. Actually, I should just check. Yep. So this one here, this one is another crafty individuals one. I haven't mounted it on the proper foam. I just had some foam from some old kind of kiddies stamps, and I just thought, oh, I'll peel the old stamp off and just utilize it just for the purposes of this video really. So that's that one, and then this one here is the postcard one that I thought I would just use. Isn't that beautiful? I just love that. Absolutely gorgeous. So on here, I'm just going to kind of just roughly stamp around. So might kind of stamp the postcard one over there to the side. Like that. And then I might just stamp the postmark. Well, I might kind of do it. Actually, I don't think that's up the right way now. Right. We'll just kind of do it like that to the side. And obviously it doesn't have to be straight, because they certainly don't kind of stamp them straight, do they, in the post office. So that's that one. And I also have got this little stamp. Now these are 7 Gypsies stamps, and again, I've had these for a really long time. I bought them in a clearance section of a little shop, I think, if I recall. Again, I don't tend to use most of them. I mean, if you can see, there's like a kind of penny farthing and, you know, this hand. But I do love this one, which is kind of like a ledger kind of stamp, but very small. So I do love that one, although, you know, I wouldn't say that I particularly use it over, you know, over and over again, but just, it's quite a nice stamp. So I just thought I might kind of just pop some of that on there. You know, I mean, really, we're just kind of popping some things on just so it's a bit more interesting to look at. So there we go. And then I've just got a couple of bits here that I thought we'd just kind of pop on. So let me close my stays on in case I dab it around anything, which is likely with me. Right, and obviously I've got a whole bunch of things still here that I bought in kind of doing the last video. So, I mean, we could kind of use the rest of that little piece here, you know, just for kind of more decoration really, so more interest on the piece. So grab my glue. I'm going to get gluing down straight away because you know, try not to dilly-dally and kind of take forever making a decision. You have to excuse any noise. I've got the window open because it's actually really, really humid and quite muggy, so I've had to open the window. So, and it's first thing, you know, well, it's not first thing, it's you know, kind of rush hour, so lots of people are obviously going to work and things, so hence obviously lots of noise outside, kind of with traffic and vehicles and what have you. So I just apologise now. There we go. Oops. We live you know, on a main road, and you know, it's not a problem at all. I know obviously, you know, lots of people don't really like living on main roads. I worked for an estate agents for about 9 years, and one of the main things that kind of people would say was no main roads. You know, that was, they would say no main roads and no estates. That was their kind of two things that they, you know, were the most common things that they kind of said they didn't want. But I mean, for us, actually, it's fine. I mean, it's, you know, it's a main road, but it's not a dual carriageway or anything like that. But it just has busy times of day, you know. I mean, obviously, at the moment, people are going to work, so it's busy. But kind of come the evening, you know, there's not many cars at all. You know, so it's absolutely fine. And obviously, in the middle of the day, there's, you know, just kind of a bit of a flow, but I mean, not particularly overly busy. So it's fine, and it's a nice big kind of wide road, so it's not kind of, I don't like it when the roads are kind of really narrow and you feel quite claustrophobic. So actually I'm just going to check that that's not a bit wide for the piece, so I might just trim that in slightly, just so it's a little bit smaller. Yeah, so anyway, so hence the traffic kind of noise. But I mean, we've been here actually now for, oh gosh, about 11 years, and it doesn't bother me at all, because, you know, you don't really notice it. It's surprising how you quickly get used to things, and, you know, I don't really notice it. Our main rooms tend to be at the back of the house. It's just that when I'm crafting, I'm in the loft, which obviously, you know, that covers the whole of the house, so hence, you know, it's picking up noise from the front. But I mean, our kitchen, our kind of main sitting room, the main bedroom, all those rooms, they're all at the back of the house, so I mean, we don't really kind of be affected by it at all, you know, so it doesn't bother us. But and the other thing is, to be honest, you know, we wouldn't have been able to afford the house had it been on a lovely kind of private, you know, or, you know, quiet tree lined kind of side road. We wouldn't have been able to afford the house. So it kind of swings in roundabouts, you know, you can't have everything. And I always kind of thought, you know, when working for the estate agents, you know, nobody gets everything on their wish list really, when looking for a house, and you've got to kind of compromise on something. And, you know, for us, I mean, it wasn't a big deal for us kind of moving to a main road. It wasn't really on our kind of criteria of, oh no, you know, no main roads. So, you know, that kind of didn't really bother me. And as I say, you know, the price of the house was kind of much, much less than had it been on a kind of, you know, quiet kind of little road, which obviously then, you know, we would have just been priced out completely and wouldn't have been able to afford it. So, you know, it kind of, it's all relative, isn't it? You know, kind of what you lose from some, you know, kind of there's benefits in other ways. So for us, it was kind of, okay, it might not be on one of those gorgeous roads, but, you know, I mean, we like the road. It's a nice road, and we're very close to the town and things like that. So, you know, and I'd had a couple of houses kind of before, or we had had a couple of houses before, and this is the first house that's really felt like home. You know, kind of, you just know, don't you, when you kind of have a house that feels like your home, that's how this house feels. So hence we've been here obviously for kind of 11 years. I mean, one of our houses, I think we lived in for about 3 years. lived in another one for about 6 years, I think. So yeah, this one definitely, this feels like home, and the children kind of say it feels like their home, and yeah, and we love where it is. It's really convenient because I mean, I can walk to work, which I feel so privileged, because I know that hardly anyone really, you know, is lucky enough to be able to walk to work. So, you know, I really fully appreciate how fortunate I am with that. And yeah, it's really, really nice. I can walk my daughter to school, which is brilliant. The boys, I mean, they could walk to school, but it would be about a half an hour walk, I think. So they tend to kind of use their bikes. But, you know, again, it's just lovely being able to kind of bike and walk and things, because let me just check that I'm still filming. You know, that's really lovely to be able to kind of be really central. And I think I've kind of said before, but we can kind of walk to like the cinema, we can walk, you know, to the supermarkets and things, you know, kind of everywhere that we need to get to, we can easily walk to, which, you know, is really lovely, isn't it? And I realised that, you know, not everyone can. I mean, where we lived before, we were in a kind of village, and we were about 8 or 10 miles, I suppose, from where we are now. So we were right by the beach, which was obviously lovely, but we weren't particularly near. I mean, we had some local shops, so we were lucky, you know, it was quite a well-equipped kind of village, but we weren't nice and close to, you know, the cinema, for example, or, I don't know, restaurants, or, you know, a big supermarket and things like that, the things that you use all the time. And in fairness, you know, the beach, much as we love the beach, I mean, that's my daughter's favourite place to go is the beach, you know, always has been. She just absolutely loves it there. And you know, although we do love the beach and we go there a lot, you know, we can easily drive to the beach and obviously spend the day there and then come home. You know, it's not like you're kind of there every day, whereas things like shops, you know, obviously kind of you use them a lot more than you use the beach. So for us, you know, we just really kind of love where we live now. It's very, very convenient. So yeah, I always kind of say to the children now, you know, kind of, because they're quite into their houses, you know, kind of, they quite like the whole house kind of thing. They're quite interested in, you know, watching like the programs when they do the renovating of houses and things like that. And I do always say to them, you know, you can generally tell within about 30 seconds of walking through a front door whether you could live somewhere or not, you know, unless there's something further on in the house that dramatically changes it for you, i.e. either really puts you off or really wins you over. I think you pretty much can tell within your first kind of 30 seconds of going in. So that's my 3 little kind of straight pieces. So looking super cute there. Pop them to the side. We'll move on now to our corner kind of pieces. So again, I'm just going to kind of do a little bit of stamping around here. I've got this kind of sheet music stamp, so you just kind of see how that's, you know, how it's coming out. So let me just, so that's how that kind of would look. So just going to kind of again move my pieces and then just do a little bit of random around the kind of piece. And I mean, I'm really not kind of you know, being fussy here to make sure that the whole stamp is there in its entirety. As you can see, it's kind of come out in odds and, you know, odds and ends, but that was kind of the intention, because I didn't want it to look too uniform, like I had properly stamped it, you know, in place. So, you know, that for me is just ideal how it's kind of come out. So we'll just kind of have a look at some of these little bits and pieces. Yeah, so I mean, I generally think that you can kind of tell within your first kind of 30 seconds through the door whether you could live somewhere or not. And I mean, I don't say that that's a rule, but I do think that kind of follows, you know. as I say, unless there's something, you know, for instance, I mean, you might kind of walk in and think, oh my gosh, you know, love this, definitely could live here. But then you might kind of get upstairs in a cottage, for example, and the ceiling height might be just, you know, kind of feel like it's closing in on you. And that would obviously, oh my gosh, look what I've done there. That's what comes with not really concentrating. Right, we'll have to cover that up. So, oh dear. Right. There we go. Just simple as that, it's gone. Yeah, you know, because sometimes kind of you do get things like, yeah, like for example in a cottage, you might get upstairs and the ceilings be very low, it would feel very dark and oppressive, you know. So although you may love downstairs and think, oh, I could live here, you get upstairs and think, oh, you know, that's now spoilt it for me. Or kind of the other way around, I guess, you know, you could kind of walk in somewhere and kind of think, I mean, I don't think that would work if you literally kind of had a bad vibe or hated it. But if you kind of were a little bit like, well, yeah, I could live here. If there was then kind of the most amazing kitchen, or say like, you know, amazing views from the window upstairs or something like that, again, I think that could kind of, you know, win you over. So, yeah, I think kind of on the whole, it's pretty much within your first kind of 30 seconds of going through a door that you kind of think, yep, I could live here, or no, definitely not for me. Just tear around that. Just kind of filling in spaces and kind of putting things just for, you know, a bit of interest really. So as we've got some pretty bits and pieces going on here. So again, I'm just going to kind of ink it up, I think, so that we can just see how that's all coming together. Yeah, I mean, actually, and when we moved here, because we were moving into kind of the town rather than, you know, in one of the villages, you know, it was obviously a very large price difference. And, you know, kind of like always, your kind of budget keeps getting stretched and stretched. So, I mean, to say that we were kind of really overstretched is probably a bit of an understatement. But having said that, it's been so worth it, because it's literally changed the kind of quality of our life really. You know, kind of living somewhere that, you know, we can walk and bike everywhere is amazing. So you know, I really do kind of think actually location is kind of everything, isn't it? You know, because it makes such a massive difference. I mean, before, although we were only kind of about 10 or 11 miles kind of away from where we are, to get into kind of town, because there was just like one road in and one road out of where we lived, you know, the traffic would really build up. And so, I mean, you know, sometimes it could take you kind of 40 minutes to get into town. So you didn't want to be nipping in there all the time, plus obviously the cost of petrol and things. So you didn't want to be kind of nipping in all the time. So you tended then to kind of tie every single thing in and be like, oh, you know, I've got to go to the supermarket, I've got to go here, I've got to do that. And it all was like, oh, must do everything on one day kind of thing. And, you know, that's quite restrictive. And so I would say we've gained so much time. You know, what we've lost in obviously money, we've gained in time, which actually is far more valuable, you know, because we've obviously, you know, got such a lot of extra time in our day because we're not traveling, you know. I mean, obviously it would take me kind of half an hour to drive to work, where now it takes me kind of, I mean, I think it's like 8 minutes or something. I can do it walking from my desk to my front door. I often bike there, in which case, I mean, it probably even takes me longer to actually get my bike out than it does to even bike there. So, you know, I'm there within a couple of minutes. So, you know, that in itself is unbelievable, you know, the difference that that makes to your life. So, yeah, it's definitely been worth, you know, although kind of at the time we were, you know, kind of very concerned and kind of worried about the finance. I think kind of the compromises that we had to kind of make to stretch ourselves kind of has just been worth it from the quality of life that we've kind of benefited from, really. So yeah, I kind of now, you know, I see completely it is really all about location, and I can see why kind of location is so important, and you know, why kind of places come at a premium, you know. Well, I mean, it's a bit like those lovely kind of tree-lined kind of side roads, you know. Of course they're going to come at a premium because, you know, they're lovely roads, aren't they? Kind of, you know, some of those beautiful kind of roads. But, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, you kind of just have to do what you have to do, don't you? Right, all that waffling. So hopefully you've been kind of able to be seeing what I've done here. Trying to chat more rather than overthink what I'm doing. So hopefully that's kind of helping. Because otherwise sometimes you can get just so bogged down in kind of overthinking where to put things. So again, I'll just put that piece of bling on there. Oh my gosh. Even more fingers and thumbs today. Right. Okay. We're on the home stretch now. I don't know, again, I don't know what my upload schedule is, whether or not this will be one of those videos that I'm going to upload over the summer, you know, save for whilst I'm kind of busy. But in real time, I'm filming this, you know, just before the school kind of breaks up. So we're on the home stretch and school's finishing soon. So looking forward to that. My daughter especially is getting tired and, you know, kind of, yeah, I think she will be pleased to finish. So my son, he's 12, so he's an August baby, so he will be 13, you know, once he breaks up from school. So he's kind of one of the youngest in his year. He obviously just can't wait to finish for the holidays, and I think he's a little bit envious that his brother obviously has left school now. So not that he's kind of laying around, he's being pretty good. He's doing quite a few shifts at work, and he's going to be doing this scheme, you know, that was kind of organised by, I think probably kind of by the government funded thing, I'm not really sure, but anyway, that will take up kind of 3 weeks, and then we'll be almost ready for our holiday. So yeah, he's certainly not laying around or anything, but obviously kind of his brother is kind of a bit miffed that he's having to get up and go to school, even though he does fully understand that obviously his brother kind of started school earlier than he did. So, but it still doesn't kind of console you, does it, if you're the person having to get up and go, you know, when you'd rather be kind of laying in. Right, I'm just going to cut a strip here and put some in the middle of that butterfly. Oops. Like that. There we go. Oops. Right, so again, that's another piece done, and again, just kind of try and get a cleanish side to kind of show you that's how that would kind of look on a page. And again, you'd obviously just tuck your pieces kind of into there. So super cute, really, yeah, really nice. So I'm just going to pop that to one side. We'll do the next piece. So this one obviously is a kind of a corner tuck spot, but down the other way. So I've just kind of tentatively put these pieces here. Again, you know, might kind of change my mind yet, but I just thought I'd get ahead of the game a little bit so that we weren't kind of, you know, dilly-dallying around again. Let's have a look and see what stamps we want to kind of use on this one. I've got this label stamp. I know that I have used this before, so I might stamp that kind of over this direction. Oops, let me just check. Thought I'd suddenly best check that that's black and not my blue one. So okay. So I love that stamp. It's really nice, isn't it? I know that I'm always waffling on about my love of stamps, but they really are, you know, amazing things, I think. Just, you know, kind of if you're just starting out with the whole crafting, you know, kind of adventure, I mean, I kind of personally think probably stamps are one of the best investments, because they really do provide you with so much scope of what you can do, and they just change the look of your projects so much. And they're pretty good value, you know. I mean, not all of them, obviously some are quite expensive. I mean, the Tim Holtz stamps over here tend to be pretty pricey, but you can get cheaper ones. And I mean, definitely there's that Wish app, which, you know, I'd bought some from there and they were really good value. I can't remember how much, but they were like £1 or very, very good value. And they were lovely stamps. So, you know, you can get kind of cheaper ones. So if you're starting out, I would say stamps. I would say some kind of patterned papers. That's probably just a personal thing, because I love my patterned papers. You know, I don't necessarily think pattern papers are an essential item for everybody. But there's something that I really like using. So, you know, kind of if you saw a couple of cheap paper packs or something, then I think they're pretty good investment. And to be honest, if you don't pay too much for them, I think they're quite good value as well, because you get a lot of papers in them. You know, so they'll go a long way. I mean, it takes a pretty long time to work your way through a standard size 12x12 paper pack. Trying to work out whether to have the full thing on there or just partially. I think I'm going to try and have the full thing on. Yeah, so kind of papers. I mean, obviously some books and things. So you've got some book pages and, you know, some text and things like that, and maybe a little bit of sheet music. And, you know, that's probably kind of good enough to get you started, I would say. You know, and then you can kind of build up your stash gradually from there on. You know, kind of gradually add in laces and flowers and bling and maybe some punches with some butterflies or something like that. I mean, to be honest, I don't even think that's necessary, really. You know, I think if... yeah, I think probably if I was just starting out now, I don't know, I'll have to give it some thought, and maybe I'll do a video of if I was starting out, what I would kind of recommend as kind of some good items to buy. I'll give it some thought. I don't want to kind of suddenly say something now and then think, oh, actually that's a bit of a waste, you won't really use that. So I was about to kind of start saying something, and I thought actually I'll stop myself, because kind of if you were just watching and building up your stash, I don't want to kind of recommend something that actually maybe isn't a great recommendation. So I will hold fire, and you know, I maybe will come back and do a proper video kind of recommending some suggestions. Okay, Okay, so I'm just kind of again grunging this up, making it look really yummy. Okay, now I've got this little text piece here, just the definition of together. Just have that kind of there or something, and then I may pop some flowers on, I think. So just have a look and see. I did bring kind of flowers along, so I've got these that I just, you know, I've just torn them off of another piece. So but I brought them along because I thought somewhere they may be kind of useful, just to add a little bit of a splash of colour, really. I mean, I do absolutely love my colour, so you know, for me, this looks quite colourless, you know, and I just feel like it needs a little bit of a splash of colour. So just kind of add this, and hopefully that will kind of get over that. Yeah, for me that just kind of brings it up a little bit. So I'm just going to kind of pop that there, get to the side, and then just ink that a little bit, and then just glue that down. Like that. Okay, and then I'm just going to ink around the edge in that gorgeous yellowy colour. Really love that. Still waiting for my other stamp, ink pad, sorry, that I'd ordered from that shop. So it's a bit annoying now, because it's actually been over 3 weeks since I placed that order. I don't want to kind of get stroppy with them, but I mean, that's a pretty long time, isn't it, of waiting. Right. Again, I'm just going to put a little bit of lace down here. Just kind of finishes it off, just, you know, really nicely. So we could kind of have a bit of lace kind of running across the top, or we could have it down the side. We could have it kind of across here. Might just have it across the top, you know. So I'm just going to use that glue down there. Just do that with the tissue. I'm just doing that really just to save getting quite so messy. I mean, I don't really mind getting messy, to be honest. But you know, it's probably just a little bit more kind of normal, I guess, to dab it with a tissue or something instead of just my fingers. But oh, come on. My brain's kind of whirring now with you know, things that I think would be really useful if I was starting out. So yeah, I'll have to kind of make a list or something, and, you know, try and do a video of that. But okay, so I'm going to pop that little bit of bling just down in that corner. Oh, dragging it across with me. So that one looks really pretty, and again, you know, on a journal page, you just have it in the corner like that and tuck your pieces in kind of behind like that. So super pretty. I'm going to pop that down to the side, and now we're on to our last piece that we kind of have made with the, you know, with that particular 12 by 12 sheet, and then we'll kind of just have a quick look, you know, at all the pieces that we've made. So this one here, although the kind of text is obviously, you know, running in a particular direction, I'm going to have this one actually kind of sideways on, you know, which, I mean, I don't mind that. Because again, once we've kind of, you know, once it's in the journal, I don't think you'd really, you know, it wouldn't be that glaringly obvious that it's kind of got the text running kind of down sideways. So I'm going to just round the corners. And again, I have kind of, you know, just pulled out something that I'm going to use as a closure, hopefully. Just so that I'm kind of ahead of the game and not just sat here kind of, again, dilly-dallying around, kind of deciding what to use. So that's that piece like that. And obviously you could coffee dye your papers, because the other ones that we have used, you're not going to see the inside. This one you are. I haven't coffee dyed these, so I'm just going to kind of ink it up a little bit, I think, because we've gone for quite a grungy look. So I just want it kind of in keeping, really. So just kind of distress it a little bit. But I mean, the 12 by 12 paper pads do tend, you know, in my experience, they tend to coffee dye well. I don't think I've had any that have been not brilliant. I think they've all, you know, been fine coffee dyeing. And, you know, I mean, it's quite surprising the difference it can kind of make to the appearance of them. So, I mean, if you wanted this kind of opening, obviously, to a coffee dyed kind of effect, then obviously, you know, you could just coffee dye the paper. And what you could do is obviously just kind of paint the coffee on with a brush, so that you're actually just coffee dyeing the inside and not the entire paper. You know, that would work fine. So that's that piece. Now I'm going to obviously just rough it up a little bit around the edge. I seem to be doing this now on lots of pieces. Before I kind of just did it on tags really, but I seem to be now doing it on lots of pieces. I think it just adds a bit of kind of interest really, and a bit of texture, you know, to what might otherwise be quite boring. It's just kind of adding a little bit of interest really. Okay. And again, I will go around that with that yellow. Well, it's not yellow really, the wild honey. I'll just move that to one side. Okay. And I'm just kind of going along the back crease as well, because obviously if this were glued down, you're going to see this back half. So that's why I'm kind of doing that piece. And again, I'm going to do this crease here as well. So just go along there. And just open it out to do this bit. And then we'll just do what's going to be kind of the flap of the kind of fold out, like that. Okay, so I've got this piece here that I thought we'd use as the kind of closure. I'm just going to kind of hold that down a bit with the scissors for a moment. So pop that like that. Again, we might want to do a little bit of stamping on here, so I might just take my script stamp and just do a little bit of scripty stamping. So do a bit on here, just like that. And then I'm going to put something else. I'm just kind of having a look through and seeing, trying to be a bit more adventurous and not just go to my, you know, stamps that I always use. But I think we all have kind of favourites, don't we, that we use. So perhaps I'll do a bit of this ledger kind of, but just in the corner like that. Maybe a bit kind of here. Not that you can obviously see that particularly, but I'll just do a bit there. Okay, right. Put that like that now. Just put the lid on. And then, I mean, again, you could just put kind of some lace along, maybe kind of along that back edge. And then I might just back her onto a little bit of lace. I mean, again, that's just really kind of just so she's a bit more interesting to be placed on there, really. So I'll just cut around her. Morning. That's my son, my 16-year-old, who obviously, you know, is at home. He's just got up. Well, he's been up actually for a while, but he's actually, you know, actually got up now. So, right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of glue this lace down here a bit. Oops, just try and press that down a bit more. And then for this piece, what I'll do is kind of hold it here, apply my glue, which I'll now put the lid on, just so as I can see roughly kind of where to go to with that. So I'll just now pop that down, kind of on the lace overlapping. So hopefully that's kind of now not actually gluing the flap down. Because I have had moments where I've glued the flap down. I mean, probably as we all have, so, but that's annoying, isn't it, when that happens? So just kind of press that down a bit. Obviously that fabric glue, you know, it doesn't dry instantly, which is slightly annoying. So I might just help it along slightly by just adding a little bit of glue here. Like that. I mean, that's just kind of a bit of a help really, because it obviously is instant. So there we go. And then just going to take my trim and just run that along the top. I mean, obviously I'm calling it the top, but because we're going to have this running sideways down, it would actually be along the side. So just dab that off, like that. Dab that on off like that. Looking really pretty now. And then just kind of pop flower on or something. Maybe just kind of to the side or something. and then we'll just probably have a little bit of bling. It's just that always makes everything nice. Oh gosh, I've got those glue threads everywhere again. It's just horrible. Right, I just see whether we need any kind of flowers anywhere or anything like that. I've got that kind of vintage postage stamp. No, I'm not going to go for that. Because I did bring quite a few kind of flowery bits just because I thought I might need them. I'll just quickly have a look. I mean, just something like that, to be honest, just looks really nice. So I'm just going to glue that on there. Again, I mean, you know, it's not necessary. It's just kind of a little something else, isn't it? Kind of another little piece of interest, I suppose, on there. So I'm just going to glue my bling down. I thought I had then, where it didn't want to come up. I thought, oh, I must have done that already in flossing. There we go. So we just glue that on like that. It's now stuck all over my paper. There we go. And obviously, again, you know, if that was stuck on a page, that's how that would kind of look. So let me move some of this stuff to the side, because obviously I had bought quite a lot of stuff with me to do this. Just going to bring in kind of, again, a kind of blank journal, so as we can have a look at some of the bits that we've made. So this was obviously kind of using that 12 by 12 sheet of paper. So we've got this gorgeous little booklet here. Just kind of folds out, and obviously that just tucks in here, oops, behind this piece, which obviously would be much less fiddly if it was actually glued down. Oh gosh, come on. Right, so we've got that piece there. We've got this corner pocket, which, you know, that would just kind of go down there on a page, and that's how that would look. We've got this piece here, which again, that's a kind of top corner, and that's how that would look kind of on a page. And then we did 3 of these, so that's how that one would look. That's that one, and then that's that one. So, you know, from that 12 by 12 sheet, we've managed to get 6 pieces, you know, 6 potential kind of pockets and flips and what have you for a journal. So, you know, pretty good going, and yeah, make a really nice kind of kit you could gift to somebody, or, you know, kind of obviously makes, you know, gets you well on your way to kind of several pieces already to put into a journal. So hope that you liked it, and yeah, might kind of come back and do another one, but I'm not sure whether there will be time. But yeah, hope that you like them anyway, and give it a go for using up some of your 12 by 12 paper stashes. Okay, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all again soon. Thanks then, bye.